It's finally finished, but we're still stuck in supernatural purgatory. This podcast is a rewatch of all 15 seasons and hopefully our way to finally escape this show.
Join us once a week for a fun, informal discussion on each episode and leave comments on any specific upcoming plot points you'd like us to discuss. I just listened to that, at you saying that, and I was thinking, are we just going to sound more and more done through these seasons as we start our intro?
You know, we've made it to the end of season 1.
Yeah. And
honestly, I don't know why we're here. I'm enjoying definitely rewatching it, but at the same time, I'm like, fuck this show. No. What is this? There's a couple of moments in this episode in particular that I was like, why am I so invested? What is it that has made me so viscerally angry, so sad, so like everything? Like, when did this start?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely said it before, but why this show? Why this one particularly?
Yeah, I don't even after first season, it's that like it just hooked me again. Like I'm looking forward to the rest of this series, even though like we know what happens. I'm still like, I'm all in it. I'm all in again.
Yeah, again, all in, completely 100% all in. I would say maybe even more so than the first time at this point.
Yeah.
Those who know me, that should be worrying to you.
Yes. Here we are, Devil's Trap, episode 22 of season 1, 9.3, which that's a really good rating for it.
Yeah, it is.
It definitely deserved that. There wasn't anything in this episode that I would have liked to have seen different. Like, I think it was really well written, it was really well directed, it was really well acted. Yeah, overall it's a really strong episode.
Yeah, it's written by Eric Kripke, directed by Kim Manners. I agree, I think it's worth the 9.3 rating. I would say this episode of the podcast is dedicated to one of the people who gave us one of our very first comments on social media, and said that this was their favourite episode. And I remembered to give you a shout out. So this episode is for a Winchester scorned on Tumblr. All this pain from this episode is you can enjoy it along with us.
Yeah, no, is for having a favourite in this season, this is not a bad one to have.
Yeah. I think this is going to run long if we go on too much. So I say with that, let's get into it.
One thing, but I did have a listen to a later season on Netflix.
Yes.
Kansas does play for the recap of the last episode.
Well, so this episode started with a recap as well. So the both parts started with The Road So Far, but the music in this one was not Kansas. It was Fight the Good Fight by Triumph in the DVD version.
Yeah, I don't think it was the same. I mean, none of the music has been the same, so I doubt it's been the same. I mean, it kind of makes sense why they didn't use Kansas again, because I felt like the recap was more of a recap of the last episode rather than everything that's happened in season 1. There wasn't too much of like previous episodes.
No, I mean, Kansas was an accidental. It became the accidental theme, right, of Supernatural.
Yeah, I think so.
When they used it in the last episode, they weren't thinking that they would maybe use it again, I don't think. It seems like they were almost trying to match the song with the kind of feel of the episode. So I think Carry On kind of fit episode 21.
Yeah,
whereas
yeah, definitely.
Fight the Good Fight definitely did fit this episode as well, I think. So, do you know what? As much as I have a love-hate relationship with Kansas, I would have liked to have seen what other songs they would have chosen for season finale.
That's true. That would have been interesting.
Like, what would they have chosen for some of them?
I wonder when and how did that become like the song?
I think because it was the first Road So Far song, right? It resonated with people. And I mean, the lyrics are very pertinent to Supernatural, for sure.
This is very true. True.
But if they'd chosen another song, it probably would have just been that, whatever they'd chosen for the road so far.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, the same kind of thing happened with AC/DC. Like, I feel like they dropped that, though.
Well, okay, so that was never supposed to be the song that played in that episode. Because Sam has his Dean and Metallica tape, and they wanted to play Enter Sandman, but we all know what Metallica's like with rights. Yeah. So they couldn't play it, so they chose Back in Black instead, and I mean, I'm glad they did.
Yeah, me too. Because there's as much as I enjoy Metallica sometimes, like, I like their music, but I don't like the people. Yeah. The whole Napster thing. Anyway, sorry, we got sidetracked again. Let's get into this. Let's get into this episode, because it is going to be a long one, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. So we started the episode where we left off the last one, which we kind of knew would happen. The phone is ringing. Meg picks up. She says the line that you're never going to see your father again. Then we see it cut back to Dean, and he kind of puts the phone down. And there's going to be too much about the acting in this episode, so I'll just start now because we're right here. The like panic of deciding what to do in the few seconds that he takes to start then packing up everything and deciding that they're leaving is just so good.
Yes, because we haven't really seen Dean that frantic before. Not in like he's been frantic, but never like urgently frantic. Kind of like hopelessness almost.
Yeah.
They know they gotta leave because they know that the demons are gonna come after them. I thought it was really sad that he called him Sammy as well, like not in a dire situation, but more of like a telling off.
They've got Dad. Meg? What'd she say? I just told you, Sammy. Okay.
That felt very John Winchester.
Yeah, it did.
In that moment. So I guess because we are going straight off of the last episode. Sam is not really all that convinced like of what really needs to happen next, because obviously he's all about like, I could have saved us if you just let me go. He kind of let that go a little bit, but it's probably still in his mind, which is where like, you know, he starts arguing like, no, we have to stay here and face them off. And I like the line that Dean says,
"We've still got 3 bullets left. Let it come." Listen, tough guy, we're not ready. Okay, we don't know how many of them are out there. Now, we're no good to anybody dead.
He's really trying to get through to Sam that like, this is not a situation we need to be in right now. We need to leave.
Yeah. Dean immediately doesn't believe then that John's dead. Like, from the phone call, he took that split second, decided he's not dead, we need to get out of Dodge so we can regroup and sort this out. They gather together all their stuff, and as they're driving, like, Sam's still unhappy. You know, Dean's thinking, he's still saying, John's alive, they probably want the gun, we'll trade him for the gun. Sorted, essentially.
Yeah.
Sam says, like, well, then why didn't Meg mention that at all? And
right.
Sam thinks that John's dead. Like, definitely.
I mean, there's no indication to think otherwise beyond the fact that they know that demons lie. If anything, it's nice to have Dean in your corner to like always be there for you.
Right.
Like, he's willing to give up everything to help you out, kind of thing. Like, even if all odds say that you're dead, he's like, nah, he's alive. Because he's thought that the entire season. Like, up until they actually received a phone call, up until that point, he's always adamant that their dad was alive. Yeah.
Yes, see, I flip-flopped on this through the whole season. You know, the first few episodes, I was like, oh, I think Dean thinks he's dead. I think he's alive. No, I think this episode kind of shows that Dean always held out hope, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's probably more of Sam doing the flip-flopping on that one. So they agree that Dean wants to kind of like start at the warehouse where John went to confront Meg, but Sam again is skeptical, And this time Dean kind of agrees with him and says like, oh, you know, I guess you're right. We're going to need some help. And we drive up and see, as they enter, Singer Salvage Yard.
Hell yeah. I did not know that Bobby was in the first season. I really did not know that he started all the way back here. Which is kind of like, it's kind of amazing actually.
I'll be honest, I was surprised also. I thought he came in season 2. I didn't realize it was this last episode. I had clearly forgotten minor points of this episode, but not some of the major points. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm guessing, because we know what happens to John eventually. So they're obviously introducing Bobby to be like another father type figure at this point, which also probably means that he knew he had to start building out the world a little bit, because if you look back on the past couple of episodes, we've started to like expand the Hunter universe quite a bit, because, well, one, they've actually decided to call themselves Hunters. Yeah. 2, we have 2 other Hunters. Well, yes, they got killed off in the last episode. It's still indicating that there's other active Hunters in the world. Also in Dead Man's Blood, so the last 3, they've actually killed off 3 other Hunters. So, I mean, we had another one, so out of the 4 that we met, there's still one that survived.
Yeah.
But like, Meg obviously suggested that she would keep going through their friends. So that means that there are other Hunters out there. And you know how, like, in the beginning we were saying, oh, do they know that is there a Hunter network yet? And all this kind of stuff. And I guess now, because they know they're going into a second season, they know they can't just keep it as, like, Sam and Dean and John.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a factor in bringing Bobby in. I think that's kind of, like, you know, established. They needed to expand the universe, because you can't just watch a show with 2 people. And I guess I was going to say that like X-Files, even those, that they actually did expand their characters when they found interesting ones. They then expanded them out a bit. It is weird that they never mentioned Bobby before this, and I kind of get why, because like you said, they were deciding to expand the universe probably just in this episode. See, I wonder if they were making the decision whether Bobby was ever gonna be seen again after season 2, or whether he was gonna be killed off camera like the other Hunters. I mean, yeah. So we see quite a young Bobby. It's quite like it's amusing to me.
He's got like a full-on mullet. It's amazing.
Yeah. The house here is the same house as the Benders. They've just put some like hubcaps on the side.
When I saw that, I was like, what? Who does that?
We see Bobby's truck as well, like his blue truck, and his dog, which
we never see again.
Okay. I have to, this is a personal moment for me, because, you know, in times of quizzes, I did a lot of quizzes over like lockdown. And one of the quizzes that I did, they did personalized rounds for each person, and my special subject was supernatural, like I was on Mastermind. And one of the questions was, what is the name of Bobby's dog? And I was just like, what dog? And they were like, I don't believe you don't know this. But I swear we don't ever see this dog again. Please.
I'm fairly certain we don't. I mean, we'll get the answer very soon, next season soon, but I'm pretty sure it's a 1-episode thing. It was a very cute dog. It was very, very cute. That, you have to have such a good callback memory for that. Like,
I know.
It's like in that panel that they did in the around, I think it was November, maybe early December. And they were like, what was the name of Sam's friend in the bar? I was like, who? Even though we just watched it, but now I remember, because for some reason it stuck. It's Luis. I was just like, and the only reason why that stuck is because apparently that's actually one of Kripke's friends. So it's like, okay, so he named it after someone he knows. Yeah. So that, now that's in my head. Yay. Who knows that? I mean, someone did. after we see the lovely puppy in the crazy looking house, Dean is talking with Bobby and like saying, well, we haven't seen you in a long time, and because you threatened John.
Tell you the truth, I wasn't sure if we should come.
Nonsense. Your daddy needs help.
Well, yeah, but last time we saw you, I mean, you did threaten to blast him full of buckshot. You cocked the shotgun and everything.
Yeah, well, what can I say? John just has that effect on people.
Yeah, I guess he does.
I literally wrote in like all caps, like handwriting, all caps. Couldn't agree more. Like, so I think this was the moment that I was saying that, like, when did I've never hated somebody this much, even in real life. Yeah, I hate a fictional character this much, and I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all.
Do you think this episode goes any way to helping you resolve your hate for John Winchester?
No.
No, me neither.
Not at all. No, it's not. Like, no, not even a little bit.
I mean, Dean kind of under his breath says, like, yeah, I can see that. So, like, he knows that maybe John rubs people up the wrong way, which
Well,
funny.
you got, like, so we've met already 2 hunters who clearly don't like John. It was Bobby, and then there was Daniel.
That's true. Yeah, it's very true. I mean, so yeah, he's just going around annoying people, including you.
Including me, and I'm not even in I'm not even in this universe. Anyway. So Sam's being Sam, he's obviously reading a book, and he's reading from the Key of Solomon, and he's learning about, they don't call it a devil's trap, but he's reading about the symbol, which I swear, like, later on they use a different symbol. Like, I don't remember it being that detailed later, like in later seasons, like with the scorpion and all that writing and stuff. I don't think they use that anymore.
Yeah, it definitely changes. There's a few symbols and things in this episode where I'm like, they definitely adjust that, or they don't use it later on.
Because I'm thinking of that one. I'm thinking of that one where when you remember the Harlem Shake was like super big for a while.
Yes.
And they did their version of it, and it's got that giant devil's trap in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
It didn't look like this.
No, this is kind of sort of interconnected, like hexagons, I think, kind of overlapping each other. Whereas obviously what I would maybe consider a devil's trap now for supernatural is the like pentagram in a circle, like very simple.
Yeah.
I would think the devil's trap in the dungeon, in the bunker.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's more like it.
It looks more like the devil's trap that he... So maybe that one isn't a devil's... I mean, there may be 2, because there's this one, which they don't really give a name to, and then there's one that he actually calls a devil's trap, and he draws it on the car, and that looks more reminiscent of what we know as devil's traps.
Kinda, yeah. I was thinking that when he drew it. But yeah, I think we definitely do see this shape, I'm going to say shape, of a trap later on, but I can't remember what for, and I'm not sure if it's always demons, but I feel like it is used again for something, but I don't remember seeing the scorpion again. I mean, like first season, they hadn't fleshed out all of their lore. There are some things in this episode, particularly pertaining to demons, that I'm like, you definitely never use this again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about too. I guess it's implied that Bobby is like an expert demon hunter, because he tells them that, there's only been 3 or 4 usually there's only 3 or 4 demon possessions a year. He's saying so far there's been 27. I wrote here, oh man, I wonder how many they kill in the entire 15 seasons. And I don't know why I wrote that right there. Anyway.
There's definitely stats on that. I can find
yeah. And so Bobby goes on to say, like,
Storm's coming. And you boys, your daddy, you are smack in the middle of it.
And I feel like that should be the tagline for the show. Supernatural. smack bang in the middle of it. Like, what are they not?
I want that on a t-shirt, like Supernatural, prepared to be smack bang in the middle of it.
Because, like, I mean, obviously as a TV show, then the main characters, of course, are going to be, but, like, I feel like the grand scheme of this season, they are not. Like, it's only in the last, like, 2 episodes that they've become, like, central, and it was because they got the cult.
Yeah, you're right. They wouldn't have been in the eye of this storm if it wasn't for John and trying to get the cult. Oh, so what you're saying is it's all John's fault.
Yeah, it is. And it always has been. He's the one who drew the attention of the demons by trying to find out who killed his wife. I mean, fair enough. I don't know what it is like to have your wife killed in such a traumatic way, so I don't know how that would affect you. But still, we hear the cute puppy barking and then, like, nothing. So this is where I'm thinking, like, the dog is dead.
Yeah, I thought it too. But they didn't make it clear, so I'm just going to say it ran off and it's living a happy life somewhere else.
It is, definitely. It found a new owner who's not mixed up with all this malarkey. And then Meg kicks in the door. Mm-hmm. The way Dean tries to go after the holy water, like, it's not subtle. Like, what are you doing? And of course he gets thrown across the room and gets knocked out cold. So Meg turns to Sam, is like taunting him a little bit.
I swear, after everything I heard about you Winchesters, I gotta tell you, I'm a little underwhelmed. First Johnny tries to pawn off a fake gun, and then he leaves the real gun with you two chuckleheads. Lackluster, man.
I don't know if you noticed this, but, like, he grabs Bobby's shirt and, like, pulls him behind him and, like, walks him away. I thought that was kind of interesting, like, that he's protecting Bobby. Like, there's nothing... I mean, at this point, we don't know anything about Bobby beyond the fact that he has knowledge. Does he think that Bobby can't protect himself? Or is it, like... I'm not sure what that was about. I really appreciated it, seeing Sam being so protective of somebody else. I thought that was nice to see.
I mean, I think they brought this down on Bobby, right? So it's only polite to protect him.
Yeah, that's true.
And it may have been part of the plan. Woo! I don't know, somehow.
I mean, they obviously knew, because, like, Bobby and Sam get backed into, like, quotation marks, backed into a corner. But actually there's a devil's trap, or a trap, on the ceiling.
Yeah, I really appreciate the build up to this because, yeah, you're right. As Sam and Bobby are there, like, Meg's asking for the cult, and Sam just says that they buried it, which is, like, such a bad lie. Meg's like, you know, I'm really underwhelmed with you. Like, did you think I wouldn't find you? And then the shot that they do of, like, Dean appearing over her shoulder in sort of the fuzzy background. Mm-hmm. It's so horror movie. I loved it.
And you know what? It briefly reminded me of the silhouette of the demon in the burning house.
Yes. Very,
very briefly. I know, like, so after we recorded the episode last week, I went back and, like, skipped through it to find, like, the episode art, and I think they got a silhouette of Dean in his leather jacket and just, like, superimposed it in the fire, because he looks so much like it at that point.
Yeah, I have another theory on that. I'm saving it.
Okay, you save it. You save it. Dean says, "Gotcha," and that smirk that he does, also fine. But it gets ruined by a title card.
Yes, title card.
This is actually quite a late title card. It's like 7 minutes in, or over 7 minutes into the episode.
Yeah, it definitely is a late one, which I think they do a lot in the finales for these. And
yeah, I guess they want to continue the action and then be like, here's a title and here's an ad break.
I would say you're looking for when they use the title card. Interestingly, I think this one's kind of it. They kind of start doing it for dramatic effect rather than just cutting up a prologue and the main part of the episode. Yeah. So maybe that's where they decided to start going with that. So after the title card, we see Meg tied to a chair with Sam and Dean watching her.
You know, if you wanted to tie me up, all you had to do was ask.
And then Bobby comes in and he says that he's salted all of the doors and the windows and things. Then Dean starts to question Meg, and it's quite aggressive.
It really is. Kind of going back a little bit, this is one of the things that I feel like they started to develop with the demon law, because I don't remember Salt ever keeping out demons after this point.
No.
Do you? Yeah, okay.
I thought the same thing through this whole episode. I was like, do we ever see this again with the Salt? I mean, maybe they move past it with the use of symbols and things instead. That it's better than a Salt circle, because there are instances when we've seen later on where we see ghosts like break out of Salt because they're maybe a little bit cleverer or whatever. Mm-hmm. So maybe, you know, as demons got wise to it, I don't like, they should have known this already. They stopped doing it. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't remember using this much Salt.
Yeah, no, it definitely, I feel like it got dropped, and it may be a case of like lower level demons are more like ghosts, and that's why, or it just because, again, we know that there's only 3 to 4 demon possessions a year. Well, they don't have enough research, basically, is what it comes down to, as to what's really effective. So maybe they're just kind of guessing, and as they fight more demons, they realize what works and what doesn't.
I would argue, how effective is Salt? We haven't seen it be that great. There is an instance in this episode where it does work, but other than that, you know, anyway. One thing I thought of as soon as I watched this is like, who tied Meg to that chair and how?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's the same for any time like they capture somebody, because everybody always gets tied to a chair for some reason.
That's true. I
mean, they could have talked her into it, basically. I think that's probably what it came down to, more than anything. Like, because they could have told her, like, you know, sit down in this chair and we'll let you go. We just want to ask questions or whatever. I don't know.
No, but she was definitely tied. Anyway, yes, so Dean questions her. He wants to know where John is, and she's being very difficult. Meg. Yeah, very Meg. And just taunting him.
Jeez, you kiss your mother with that mouth? Oh, I forgot. You don't.
Hey, you think this is a freaking game?
And to the point that then Dean hits her around the face. That's, you know, because she said that John was dead and that she killed him, essentially.
So I thought it was kind of interesting. Dean says, you think this is a freaking game? If this was on any other network, he would have dropped that F-bomb. And I wonder how many outtakes there are of, like, Jensen actually saying, do you think this is an effing game?
That's so true. I wish I could have sworn in this show, like,
beyond son of a bitch and bastard.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're right, frickin'.
Because that it was said with so much, like, visceral and so much anger that, like, there's no way that the first word that comes to your mind is frickin'.
No, that's very true. Yeah, I'll So Bobby walks in and he explains why they should be trying to avoid hurting Meg, because she's possessed. And he essentially tries to explain a little bit like how possession works, that he says there's a girl in there, so this is her body and the demon is possessing her, but she's still in there. And to that, Dean says, well, that's good news. So they attempt an exorcism.
Yes, they do. And, like, I'm not surprised that they didn't realize Meg, the actual woman, was there, like, still there, because John doesn't tell them anything.
Very true.
And, like,
yes, because Bobby says, can't you tell? Like, she's possessed, can't you tell? And they look like blank faces. So they should have shown Bobby looking more, like, exasperated with them, because, like, you should know this. Yeah.
Absolutely. This is what John has been hunting, and you don't know what you're hunting.
Exactly.
Like, I feel like that's sort of 101. And like I said, it's kind of clear that Bobby is like the demon expert. So I like the fact that Dean says, hit it, Sam, like as if it's some sort of, I don't know, easy thing to do, just start an exorcism.
Yeah.
But he does. He starts speaking Latin, or a version of Latin, I don't know. And sort of Meg is sort of playing it off like it's not really affecting her too much.
I'm gonna rip the bones from your body.
No, you're gonna burn in hell. Unless you tell us where our dad is.
She likes to rip things from bodies. For John, it was his skin. For Dean, it's his bones.
Yeah, the threats are wild. The threats are good. I mean, she's still taunting them as Sam's exercising her.
He begged for his life with tears in his eyes. He begged to see his sons one last time. That's when I slit his throat.
Like, I just put Dean loses it. And he's
He
really
does.
shouting in her face, like, no, he's not dead, he can't be.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the use of, like, shadow in this scene, because in most of the scene, Dean's face is just, half of it is just in shadow.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, he's definitely the antagonist in this. He's not a good guy
no.
in this scene. Not at all.
It's really like dark Dean feels. Yeah, he says,
I hope you're lying. Because if it's true, I swear to God, I will march into hell myself. And I will slaughter each and every one of you evil sons of bitches. So help me God.
he's fully going off the rails, I feel, here.
Definitely.
And it's a good job that Bobby and Sam were there to kind of keep a level head, I guess. As the exorcism goes on, and I mean, there's some cool bits where the like chair kind of moves around the symbols and stuff. She finally admits that John is still alive.
He's not dead, but he will be after what we do to him.
But she claims not to know anything else. She gives him a location of a city.
So, I mean, I do have to say, like, before she finally admits that John's alive, like, doing a rewatch of this, I felt like it lost some of its, like, intensity. Because we know that John is alive.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
I was trying to put myself into, like, knowing not John was, like, the ambiguity of John's situation. And I feel like I probably would, like, my heart rate probably like raised and like a little bit panicky, because this is a very intense scene. Like they used all of the like possession tropes, if you want, like, you know, all the like head sort of twisting and all that kind of stuff, and it's kind of, and the yelling and everything, it's very like emotionally driven, but like because you already know that John's alive, I was just like, well, I'm just waiting for the answer.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I mean, could there have been any other answer? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
Again, I was trying to go back to when I first watched this. I'm not sure what I felt. Like, I always, I guess, like, Dean, I always knew John was still alive because it kind of had to be for the story. But, yeah. I mean, the way that he gets her to tell him that John's alive is by saying that they'll stop exercising her.
Yeah.
And then when she tells them, he says to Sam, finish it.
Finish it.
What? I told you the truth.
I don't care.
You son of a bitch, you promised.
I lied! Sam? Sam! Read it.
And I was like, whew, okay, I wasn't quite expecting that this early on, the ruthlessness.
Yeah. And like, I mean, so Bobby kind of tries to interrupt the exorcism just by saying, you know, is a little bit conflicting, because he says there's a girl in there, but he also knows that, you know, she was thrown from a building, so if they exorcise her, she will die.
How do you get out of that situation, though? I've often thought this about Supernatural when they're talking about vessels and, you know, possession. It's like, okay, so the person they're possessing, if you take the demon out, they're dead now, but they're already dead, so this is a bad thing. Why aren't you then, like, releasing them from their demon, you know? You're kind of prolonging their suffering if you don't exorcise them.
That's true, but I think for this it didn't quite make sense, but I think they're trying to set up for like other demon instances, because Meg was going to die because of what's happened to her physical body, in that, you know, and the demons keeping her alive. Whereas like other possessions, say like in Phantom Traveler, the passenger wasn't dead. He was just possessed.
Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah, it's an interesting one.
It's more information for them so that they know that if in future they don't try and like kill the human that the demon's possessing.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely just to give it some emotional weight, which is good. It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, so, you know, I think Dean even says here actually, like, we're going to put her out of her misery. And so Sam finishes the exorcism and we see Meg smoke out, which was so cool.
It was very cool. So, I mean, this doesn't really get explained too much, because I thought the trap meant that they couldn't smoke out, but you can exercise it to be smoked out.
Yeah, this happens a few times. This definitely happens a few times. So I guess it traps the demon while it's in a body, which makes sense, I think. So they successfully exorcise Meg. So, you know, human Meg is still alive. You know, Dean does tell Bobby to sort of call 911 and try and get her some help. And, you know, Sam and Dean both go to untie her. And interestingly here, she thanks them. Again, explains what it's kind of like to be possessed, which I think is really important information.
I've been awake for some of it. I couldn't move my own body.
All this kind of stuff that we kind of know now as seasoned viewers, that's how how vessels and kind of work. But it's really interesting to hear that first from Meg. What Dean does get out of her, that the demon was telling him the truth about John. He is still alive, but Meg tells him it's also definitely a trap. I mean, obviously.
yeah.
And that he's at the river, and then she just says the word sunrise, and sadly dies.
Yeah. By first iteration of Meg, we did love you very much. Your interpretation of a demon has carried on throughout the seasons, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, good job.
Good job, Nikki Acox.
For sure. Oh, yeah, I was a little bit... the thing is, it didn't have much emotional weight for me because, like, I know what happens later on. But it was a bit sad. It was a little bit sad.
Yeah. Also, like, they weren't... Like, Sam was more empathetic than Dean. Dean was all about, like, still very much give me the information. Even though he knew she was human at this point, I feel like he still considered her like a bit of a monster. Maybe, I don't know. I think I might be looking too much into that one, because at the same time, he is passionate. Like the way he's like questioning her is obviously much more gentle. I guess maybe the way that he was seeing it is like, she did all these bad things, so like do this one good thing and it will absolve you almost.
Possibly. yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, but I don't know if you noticed, but there is a very, very small, slow, dramatic zoom into Dean's face as she dies.
We haven't had a zoom in ages.
Not in a very, very long time.
Where's my dramatic zooms gone? Sad times.
Yeah, they've been getting like different directors to do it. So, I mean, it makes sense for what was happening because Meg just died. So it's like, look at Dean's emotions.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so true. Yeah, that's so true. So we cut to Bobby and he's telling them that they need to leave before the paramedics get there because, you know, it's suspicious, and they're asking if he's going to be okay, and he says the iconic Bobby line.
You think you guys invented lying to the cops?
I love that line. I love it so much. He gives Sam the book as well, which I thought was really nice. What's interesting is I think this is almost setting up Sam as like, we know Sam does more research and stuff into lore, or at least he's shown that way. But yeah, I feel like this is also setting up Sam for being a bit more in tune with maybe some of the like magic and things than Dean is sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this episode definitely, I mean, even this next scene after they leave, this whole episode really sets into place like who they are as people. So like Dean is very much the go-getter, action-ready person, whereas Sam is the researcher.
Yeah, I think so.
And I don't want to say brains and brawn, because it's not that at all, because they both can fight and they both can research, but I guess it's their stronger traits is that, you know, Sam can just sit and do the research, whereas I don't think Dean can sit and do nothing. He has to be doing something, physically doing something.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you're right that this shot is just so like quintessentially them. Like they've pulled up the side of the road. Sam's researching on the roof of the Impala. You know, he's looking through a book, and Dean's at the trunk checking his guns and putting them in a bag. Like, could it be more them?
I don't know if you noticed this, but like Jared can do the pen thing. Do you know what I mean by that? Like he can spin it around his thumb.
Ah, no, I didn't notice. That's all good.
I've always tried to do it, but I can't. And I think I want to say it's because of the shape of my thumb. I know it's not. It's all down to like skill and practice. But I've always wanted to do that because like if I have a pen in my hand, it's not still. Like it's moving. So like I've always, anyway, I saw him do it. I was like, he could do the pen thing.
That's so good. I didn't notice.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, this conversation. I wrote it all down, and I really don't even know where to start with it. Look, I'll go through it a bit by bit, and we'll see. So, okay. Sam starts the conversation. How they kind of start all their emotional conversations with a "Are you okay?" statement, but in this case, he says like, "Well, you've been quiet." Dean says like, "You know, I'm getting ready," and like Sam says here like it's gonna be fine. So he's come like now he knows that John's alive. He seems pretty hopeful. I think ever the optimist. Actually, Sam is an optimist. We've said this before. He is, isn't he?
He is in certain situations. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. No. Yeah. You're right. You are right. We have said this when in Faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. I think as long as he knows that the person is alive, he's like, okay, that's fine. I know how to sort this out now.
Yeah. I agree with you. So Sam he's been looking in the book and he takes some chalk, I think, and then sort of starts drawing on the Impala's trunk on the outside.
Dude, what are you drawing on my car?
It's called the Devil's Trap. Demons can't get through it or inside it.
So?
Basically turns the trunk into a lockbox.
He's having to like scrape away a load of dirt to do this.
And I was like, where did you drive? Maybe Bobby's place is pretty dusty. I don't know.
That's true. Like Dean's pretty affronted. He's like, what are you doing to my car? Like, what is this? Stop touching it.
I'm glad you found it funny too, because I was like, why is this so funny to me? Like, and I realized it's probably because this is like his one true possession. Like he calls it my car. Yeah. What are you doing to my car? Like it's not our car. No, it's my car.
Absolutely. I like how you took something I found funny there and made it a little bit sad, but good for you.
Well, it's still funny. Like it's hilarious. Yeah. Like the line is still really funny to me. And like Sam never gets an iconic car. Like Sam's always just like passenger. Yeah. He's the scrub.
Yeah.
If you know the reference, you know the reference. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I thought this was funny.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. So Sam explains these symbols are a devil's trap, and it kind of turns the trunk into a lockbox. So it means that they can hide the cult inside while they go get John, and then they kind of have an argument about taking the gun. So Dean's like, I want to take the gun, and Sam's like, no, we're not taking the gun. And that's essentially what it boils down to. And Sam makes a good point here of like,
we only got 3 bullets left. We can't just use them on any demon. We got to use them on the demon.
No, we have to save Dad, Sam. Okay, we're gonna need all the help we can get.
Dean, you know how pissed Dad would be if we used all the bullets?
The bullet count became more important than I remembered it being.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you didn't have to keep track. They are definitely keeping track. I mean, shout out to the writers on that. Like you said with, was it Star Trek?
Yeah.
Like, they obviously didn't care. Or,
No,
like, I don't know. Maybe didn't care isn't the right word, but, like...
I think Voyager went on for longer than they were expecting, I think is what happened there. I mean, in response to Sam saying, like, you know, John would be annoyed about us using a bullet or some bullets, Dean says, I don't care. I don't care what Dad says. Like, fully... Look, it took, 27 years... Dean's finally going through his rebellious phase, I think is what's happened here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's surprised that Sam cares about what John thinks at this point. And, oh, Sam, why are you going to make it like this? Sam says, like, you know, we want to kill the demon. This is our, essentially, like, this is our end game. Killing the demon is our end game. I want this. Like, Dad wants this. I thought you wanted this too.
Hell, I mean, you're the one who came and got me at school. You're the one who dragged me back into this, Dean. I'm just trying to finish it.
Well, you and Dad are a lot more alike than I thought, you know that? You both can't wait to sacrifice yourself for this thing. But you know what? I'm gonna be the one to bury you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna cut it in, but I mean, Dean's face, like, he does like a little, like, he looks down, like, shakes his head slightly, like, you don't get, you don't get this, and he says, "You're very selfish."
Good on him for finally calling him out on it. I mean, he's kind of done it a little bit before, but like. He's called Sam selfish in a bubble, but he's never called him and John selfish, which I think is what really sort of sinks in for Sam, because he's like, I want to be like Dad.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. Like, you're right. Sam doesn't want to be like John, but he is. He is John. Yeah, he is. And this is what this made me think. I always have a Dean lens on this, and I apologise for that, but it's just my brain. And I thought, there's nobody that Dean knows that, like, gets him, right? Because Sam and John, they understand each other. Like, they both know what motivates them. Like, at the moment, it's revenge, but they understand each other's motives, and just, they get it. Whereas I really don't think either of them understand Dean. They don't get him. Like, they don't understand why he cares about the things that he cares about, or why he acts the way that he does. And I just think that, like, he must be really lonely with nobody understanding you like that.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, he doesn't have that other person to be, oh man. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, there isn't anybody in his immediate family that understands, and I don't think any of them have tried to either. That's the really sad part, is that nobody, like, John doesn't care. Let's be real, John doesn't care. Yeah. And Sam cares about Dean.
Definitely.
He doesn't care about his motivations, if you know what I mean.
No, I don't think so. I mean, he does okay, so, like, emotionally, like, Sam does always check in on Dean. Like, you know, he asks him if he's okay and things. But he doesn't, like, pursue it. Or, I think try to understand where he's coming from. Where I do think that Dean does that for Sam a lot of the time, because he kind of gets the revenge motive. He thinks it's stupid, but he gets it.
And I think, well, he gets it because of John. Like, he's surrounded by it 24/7. So, of course, he understands in that sense. He probably doesn't sympathize as much, because, again, like, Mary is his mother, so of course he also wants revenge for that. And, like, he has no connection to Jessica, so he doesn't really know, like, why Sam would be so... See, this is why I've always thought it was Dean's story, even though you told me that this was about Sam at the beginning. Yeah. Like, if it was about Sam, we would know more about Jessica.
Yeah.
And the story starts when Dean comes into the picture.
No, Annabelle. What are you trying to do? Analyze what you see on the screen? Who are you? What are you trying to do?
Anyway.
Yeah. So this conversation ends, and this last shot is Dean putting the Colt back into the trunk, and it kind of zooms out. I like the ambiguity of it. Like, I didn't remember this bit at all, but I was like, they're definitely leaving this to like, did he put it back?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And he kind of like looks over his shoulder as Sam walks away. He's like, suspicious? I think so.
You're not as subtle as you think, Dean.
He's really not. He's really not. Not even a little bit. Anyway, so in the next sort of scene, they're walking alongside a walkway by a river. And as they're walking along, Dean sort of stops them and he's like, hey, look at this. And we see the Sunrise Apartments. Mm-hmm. So that was what Meg was talking about. By the river, seeing a sunrise. They start to try and formulate a plan because they credit the demons. They're like, well, this is actually pretty smart. They can possess anybody. We won't know it's them, but they probably know what we look like. So, you know, they have a whole apartment building filled with people. I like the line that the teen says.
And this sucks out loud.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I've never heard that. Like, what
I'm
is
sure
that?
I've heard that. No, I think I have. It feels of an age.
I was like, it sucks out loud. What? What is that?
So you're right. They formulate a plan, and that's that they're going to pull the fire alarm. That's the plan. Which,
yeah.
Okay. They somehow know that there's a 7-minute response time for the fire trucks.
I know. I thought that was kind of weird. That it was like they're like exactly 7 minutes. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's different from city to city and like region to region, but. I was like, you know what, I'll let it slide. Or whatever. Like, I don't know. Sam acting normal, again, quotation marks, normal, going into that building was so funny. Like, he saw the person walking, so he sort of pretends to walk up the steps and, like, I don't know, it just made me laugh. But he pulls the fire alarm, and I don't know. I feel like in my apartment building, it's not the same sort of layout. I have a door that leads me directly outside. I feel like if I lived in a building like that and someone pulled the fire alarm, I would probably ignore it. Is that bad? That's really bad, isn't it?
That's quite bad. It's a difficult one, actually, because I lived in student accommodation, so I've ignored a lot of fire alarms. That sounds really bad as well. Don't ignore fire. Well,
Please don't. But because I'm just trying, I guess it also depends on where your apartment building is.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because if you're not in a particularly safe area, like ignoring the alarms and stuff is probably for the better almost. So don't be like Sam.
Yeah, do not be like Sam. I mean, we see two people ignoring the fire alarm in their apartment after he's pulled it. There's a guy and a girl, and the guy goes and checks a room, and we see John, and he is passed out, or we know he's not dead because you can definitely see him breathing. But his like arms and legs are tied to each post of the bed. Yeah,
which is also an indicator that he's not dead. You wouldn't tie a dead body to a bed. That's just weird.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that. But also, like, I definitely looked and he's definitely breathing.
We then cut to, like, the fire fighters arriving. And, like, Sam sort of, again, sneakily walks to, like, the storage area of the fire truck. And he lockpicks it, which I don't think is actually necessary. I'm pretty sure everything on the outside of a fire truck is unlocked. It has to be so they can easily get to everything. Surely?
I don't know though. Like, people do steal stuff from emergency vehicles, so I was not surprised that it was locked.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking of if it's a life or death situation, you want to get to something quick. You don't want to be thinking about unlocking something. I've never actually seen a fire truck up close, so I don't know.
I've never seen an American one, but yeah, I don't know. I'd have to ask a fireman. I love Dean distracting a fireman.
Right now, sir, just stay back.
Well, I got a Yorkie upstairs, and he pees when he's nervous.
Sir, you have to stay back.
Like, do people? How do people perceive Dean, or is it supposed to be like a messing with them on their perceptions? Because like, if someone like Dean walked up to you and was like, "My Yorkie's in there," they'd be like, "What?" I'm sure. Like he looks like a manly man, right?
Yeah, he's very butch, as you'd say. Yeah, I don't know. The line is funny, I guess, because of that juxtaposition. Yeah, so we find out what they stole because we see Sam and Dean as firemen walking into the building with their EMF detector and whatever other gadgets I didn't really notice. And Dean says,
I always wanted to be a fireman when I grew up.
You never told me that.
I'll bring in the trivia here. So in pilot, we do see little baby Dean's bedroom, and he does have a little fireman's helmet in his room. So this is true.
But then again, like, if you think about it, him being a firefighter probably is very in keeping with his personality. Like, he totally could be.
Oh,
totally
Dean should have been a fireman.
Should have been. So the EMF starts to go crazy outside a particular apartment. We go into the apartment and they start knocking on the door, and the people inside are the two that we saw earlier. And now they have demon eyes, the whole blackout eyes.
Yes.
Which looks so cool. I guess they know what they look like. Like, the demons know what Sam and Dean look like, but they don't know what they sound like.
Yes.
And so, of course, like, Sam and Dean are acting like, Dean's rather acting like a firefighter and saying, hey, if anyone's in there, we need to get you out because there's a fire in the building.
Mm-hmm.
And the demon starts to unlock the door. I guess because the demon was probably going to go kill them.
Well,
Probably.
probably.
That's what demons do. And I guess they hear the door being unlocked and they just kick it in.
Yes, do it.
And start hosing them down with, like, holy water.
Which is so smart. And, like,
Yeah.
why would you not keep those water packs to do it again later? Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. But I thought it was kind of funny because I think all of that water and stuff is CG because the demons' clothes or the actors' clothes don't get wet. I'm wondering if it's maybe because, like, the water, like, gets evaporated when it touches a demon, because obviously we see all this, like, smoke coming off of it. Maybe it's, some sort of, like, because they're from hell and whatever. I don't know.
I'm sure I told you this before. But, so, apparently, water doesn't show well on camera. Like, but you're right. It was, like, weirdly CG in those. And it makes me wonder when they splash holy water later on in the episode, if this was the case yet. But I know for sure in later seasons, to get the holy water to show up better on camera, they mixed it with lube to make it stickier. So it would show up better on camera. I wonder if it started here. The thing is, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Here's the question. When did they switch the holy water for lube?
Now, did you ever think you would say that? Was that a sentence you ever thought that you would say in your lifetime?
No.
It's definitely not something I would ever thought I'd hear in my lifetime or think about.
I'm going to see if I can figure out watching when they switched it out, because I would like to know why. I just think it's funny.
And I mean, so I guess the holy water doesn't really hurt them too much, I guess, because they start fighting. Maybe it just sort of disorientates them or something. I don't know. And they manage to get both of them into a closet, and then they put salt around the door. So again, I was like, it doesn't feel right.
No, it doesn't feel right. But it does work because Dean's like, trying to keep it closed, like proper like yelling about it. And while Sam's putting the salt ring down. And then as soon as he kind of finishes the salt ring, the banging stops. So how did the demons know the salt was there? I was a bit confused by it. It doesn't feel like the lore that I know, but I might be wrong. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like because of all the knowledge that they eventually get, they could just drop a lot of this stuff. They also become friends with demons, so and they also stop trying to save the people that they possess too.
yeah, that's true. It's just they could have used the salt thing to their advantage so many times. Like, I feel like they do drop it. Like, when they're friends with Crowley, they definitely could, like, over-salted his food or something. So, the demons are locked in the closet. They take off all their fire equipment, and then they look around and find John still tied to the bed, still unconscious. And Dean, like, immediately runs to him and checks that he's still breathing, which he is. And he's about to cut him loose, but Sam...
Wait.
What?
He could be possessed for all we know.
What are you, nuts?
Dean, we gotta be sure.
He definitely could be possessed. So let's test him. And he does with the holy water, and it doesn't do anything.
Nope. But like, so this is where I was a little confused with the holy water thing, because why is it getting? Because he does it on his clothes, like he does it on his torso.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you throw it on his face, like wake him up a little bit too?
He did get some on his face, but also in Phantom Traveler they did just douse that guy, the pilot, with holy water, and it did burn through his clothes as well. So I'm confused about how holy water works generally.
Yeah, I mean, it would have burned through these people's clothes too. They hosed them down like completely.
Again, they clearly haven't decided how things work, so it changes every time, and they haven't nailed it down yet.
So I didn't see that the water got on his face, but apparently, if it did, it sort of wakes John up. As soon as he sort of is able to talk, the first thing he asks is like, "Where's the cult?" Which, do you think he asked that because he knows that Sam and Dean are capable, and they probably wouldn't have gotten hurt, and like he can see that they're there, or is he just selfish?
See, this is really hard because when I wrote my notes, I wrote this as John being stupidly selfish and asking where the cult is before he was asking if Sam and Dean were okay. But, see.
Yeah. I know where this is going, but like I don't know. I was so annoyed.
Though, completely...
In character.
For him, in character, more concerned about where the gun is than if your sons were okay. You know, they didn't go... last time you saw them, they were going against a super powerful demon that you haven't been able to kill for, 25 years? And then the first thing is, where's the gun? Not like, oh,
you're alive.
Yeah, you're alive.
Or like, I'm so glad to see you or something.
Really, his first question should have been, what happened to the demon?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in John Winchester style, it should have been that.
Yeah.
So we cut back out to a group of people outside, and they're all kind of watching the building. If you think your building's about to burn down, you sit outside watching it. And we see a guy in the crowd get possessed. And it was weird for me.
Yeah.
Like, possession shouldn't be that easy. I'm sure later on we see demons smoke in as well as smoke out.
We saw that a little bit in Phantom Traveler. I mean, he's in a crowd of places, so maybe it was like curling smoke, because the guy does definitely like kind of get startled a little bit.
Maybe it didn't go in through his mouth.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. That was just a thought. Yeah, okay. And then he walks out of the crowd, and the fireman tries to stop him from going in, but the fireman also gets possessed. As Sam, Dean, and John are about to leave the apartment, this fireman and the guy from the crowd like bursts in, so they like run back into the room and lock the door. And they did like the really typical like The Shining thing where the fireman is like trying to hit it down with an axe.
Which I thought was kind of good, because obviously John's name can also be Johnny. Like demons already don't respect him, so it was like, oh, it's a "Where's Johnny" moment. Like,
yeah, they should have definitely said like, "Where's Johnny?" That would have been more good.
I don't know.
No,
I feel like
too cheesy.
for the scene, yeah, it's a little too cheesy. So my question: do you think those two are the same two that were trapped in the closet?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
So how did they get out? Like, why did the salt not stop them?
This is where it comes down to. Like, so devil traps can kind of stop the demon most of the time, unless it's a special one. I know, the lore is confusing. Only when they're in a body, right? And then once they smoke out, as Meg saw, she kind of escaped or went back to hell. And then I think maybe the salt works in the same way. So if they smoked out, their two bodies would have been unconscious in that closet, and then they could have gone and possessed someone else.
Yeah, I think you're right with that one. And also, I guess because we've seen that they can go through the vents and stuff, so I'm sure there's they could have gotten through somehow.
It may only stop them from crossing that threshold, so maybe they can get out a different way. Yeah, so I do think it's the same ones. So they go out the fire escape. Sam salts the window as they go out as well to try and stop them from following. And, we see Dean helping John down the fire escape. And Sam walks a little bit ahead of them and gets tackled by... And now I want to say his name is Tim, but...
Tom.
Thank you. Okay.
Tom the Demon.
I mean, how am I expected to remember this? He is never named.
He is never named. So yeah, he gets... It's a pretty brutal side tackle. And Tom is on top of him, starting to beat on his face pretty horrendously. I love the fact that Dean puts John on the floor, just slumps him over on the floor.
Like a sack of potatoes.
Yeah, very much. And then just kicks him in the face.
Yes.
Full on kicks him in the face. There's no hesitation, no nothing. It's literally just whap. I was like, damn.
It reminded me of a good old-fashioned Buffy kick.
Yes. But it doesn't really work. Tom is pretty powerful too. Dean gets thrown into a car and the windshield breaks, which I feel like in TV, when a windshield breaks, that means the actor's usually gotten hurt. I feel like every time we've seen one of those, I don't know if, hopefully he wasn't, but I feel like every time you see that in an action sequence where they get thrown into a window, if the window breaks, it was by accident, it wasn't supposed to.
They make them out of that special glass, right? I guess you can do that on a car windscreen. I don't know, movie magic.
Sometimes yes. Because I think to Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise hurt himself. There was an instance in Blade Runner. The woman, she her arm goes through a window and she chipped her elbow. Yeah.
No.
So I'm wondering if it wasn't supposed to break. Anyway, complete side note. And then Tom keeps beating up Sam pretty bad. And then he gets shot through the temple.
Yes.
With the Colt.
Yeah, and we know it's the Colt because it kind of shoots with this blue light.
And we see the smoke and is a very much shortened version of what happened to Luther.
So there's 2 bullets left for those keeping count. And I just put, oh, Dean's a liar.
And I mean, it's a really cool way that they did this. They use a really shallow depth of field to shift focus from the barrel, the end of the barrel to his face. And there's a moment of pause that happens. And I hear I wonder if he pauses for the fact he just killed a human.
Yes, I think so.
And definitely.
Yeah, because it really focuses, as they walk away from this scene, it really focuses in on Tom. And I guess it's supposed to make you as an audience think oh, well, this was a person. Because he made that whole point of Meg being a person. And I think, yeah, definitely Dean looks remorseful in that moment.
Yeah,
sure. This is the first episode where both of them kill humans. Sort of indirectly, I guess, for Sam. Because he did exorcise Meg and then she died. And then Dean shoots Tom. So they both killed humans in this episode, and I think this is the first time, right?
Yeah, definitely directly, because I mean, probably Sam feels guilty about Nightmare Max.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Not from Nightmare, but I feel like this is the first direct they caused it.
Yeah,
death. Yeah, which is an interesting way to end a season.
I also wrote here, let the demon killing count begin.
Yes, that's very true. I mean, because it's fun. It did feel weird to me that I'm making such a big deal of this in the first season because it's so flippant later on.
Yeah. Yeah. It is very just oh, you're a demon? Dead. Oh, you're a demon? Dead. There is no thought, especially when angels come into the equation.
Yeah, there's...
You're an angel, you're a demon, dead.
It's completely true. Yes, yeah. The body count begins. Yeah.
The human body count.
Yes.
Not just monster, but the actual human body count begins.
We started that a long time ago. Okay. Cue emotional breakdown. Right. It's nighttime. The Impala is driving. The music.
The music.
The music.
The theme. It's there. It's fleshed out. It's the one. And I wrote, I've been conditioned. I can't hear it and not think something awful is about to happen.
Dean's theme is
the worst, but the best, but the worst.
I think it's... Okay, so this is... I'll give you a play-by-play of me watching this episode. That scene came on, the music started playing. I went, no, pause the episode. Head fully on the desk. No, what, why, I hate this. And then I started watching again.
That is basically the same. Apart from I had to like wipe the kind of corner of my eye a little bit because I was like, no, I'm not doing this today. But apparently I was.
When I see you in person, I'm setting that as your ringtone the moment you leave your phone unattended.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Really appreciate it. So I can answer the phone and be like, thanks. Thank you very much.
That's okay. Love ya.
Yeah, clearly.
So they played Dean's theme and they arrive at a sketchy looking cabin. It doesn't say where it is or anything like that. And Sam's sorting all the windows and doors and we're kind of checking in on everybody. So we find out that John's okay. He's just sleeping. Sam's okay. Well, he says, I'll survive, which is a very Sam answer.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's kind of worried that they were followed. And then Sam tells Dean that and thanks him for saving his life.
You saved my life back there.
So I guess you're glad I brought the gun, huh?
Man, I'm trying to thank you here.
You're welcome.
And Dean immediately tries to make a joke out of it because, I mean, he wouldn't be Dean if he didn't. And, like, for once, Sam's like, no, look, come on, I'm trying to have a serious moment with you, please, please. So, and to be fair to Dean, he does say, like, you know, you're welcome. Like, he gives into the emotional moment.
Yeah, he does,
once.
For sure. He gives into the chick flick moment.
Yes, come on. And then they do talk about the fact they just killed a guy. You know, Dean says like, you know, the guy I shot, there was a person in there. Like he's obviously still thinking about it and still feeling guilty about it. And although Sam says like you didn't have a choice, I mean, to be fair, he really didn't. He'd been thrown into a windscreen. No. I guess maybe he could have done something other than shoot him with the Colt, which he knew was going to kill him straight away. But there was really no choice.
There really wasn't. Like, you couldn't really start an exorcism because they could run away. And I don't think... They don't know it by heart yet. And I don't think Dean ever does. Sam does, I think, eventually. At least part of it he eventually memorizes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Killing that guy, killing Meg. I didn't hesitate. I didn't even flinch. And for you or Dad, the things I'm willing to do or kill, it's just, it scares me sometimes.
It shouldn't. You did good.
You're not mad?
For what?
Using a bullet.
Mad. proud of you. You know, Sam and I, we can get pretty obsessed. But you watch out for this family. You always have.
And I was just like, oh, this is why that theme played.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be honest, I think that line of him like being scared of himself, essentially, for what he will do for his family, is very on point. And I mean, that follows Dean for all 15 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
The extent that he'll go to for his family. It's funny that he's so self-aware so early on, you know?
And I think even though he's self-aware, well, him being self-aware allows him to then do what he wants, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's kind of giving yourself permission, like, well, this is who I am, this is the lengths that I go to for my family, right?
Exactly.
But it probably shouldn't be like that. I don't feel like that's very healthy.
Yeah. Which is where John makes his appearance and he says it shouldn't. And you know what, John? You're wrong. It should. You should be afraid that you're willing to kill two humans. Yes, they're possessed by demons, but like they are still human beings. Like especially in Tom's case, there was no indication that he was injured. He killed a person. He should feel bad about it.
Again, this felt like a very John line. Just saying. And I did put here, oh look, John praising Dean for killing something.
Yeah. And I wrote here that this is not the right kind of positive reinforcement we're talking about.
No, this is not the praise we wanted.
Like this is not the time to be proud of him. No. Ugh. Yeah.
So, like Dean, he says like, you know, you're not mad like that I used a bullet, because you know he'd used up a Colt bullet on a lower level demon to save Sam. John says, "Oh, I'm proud of you." Like he says, you know, Sam and I can get pretty obsessed, but you watch out for this family, and you always have. And like Dean kind of looks between Sam and John, and he does the tiniest smile and says thanks.
But then the family moment is interrupted with flickering lights, and they all start to, like, John becomes commander again. Like the happy father loving moment is gone, and he tells Sam to go double check that there's like go salt everything. Sam says, well, I've already done it. He says, go do it again, go check. And it's this point that Dean tells him what happened in Salvation, that the demon smoked when Sam tried to shoot it.
Yeah.
And the line that John says here is really, I don't know. I didn't like it.
Give it to me. Yeah, Sam tried to shoot the demon in Salvation and it vanished.
This is me. I won't miss.
And it's like, well, it's not actually a case of missing. It's the fact that the demon smoked. Like, he didn't have a body, really.
And then he asks Dean to hand over the Colt. See, I think... Because Dean starts backing away. Something's up. I think... See, I don't know when the other shoe dropped here. Because, like, you know, Dean raises the gun and says to him, "You're not my dad." I know it gets explained a little bit in the next scene, like why he thinks that's not true. But I don't think he's completely telling the truth. I wonder when the other shoe did drop. I don't know. Anyway, let's go through it.
Yeah, I don't know. But so I wrote here, Dean thinks it's a trap because John is a bad parent. And basically tells him that John wouldn't have been proud of him for using a bullet, which is so, like, ugh.
He'd be furious.
What?
That I wasted a bullet. He wouldn't be proud of me. He'd tear me a new one.
No, I think you're right. I think, and obviously it's in the text. I think it's right. Like, but how bad is it that you can't take praise about thinking that parent's possessed? You know?
Right? And you know what? I think also, so Meg tells him it's a trap. This is not like another part of a trap that it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if Dean was actually on the lookout for signs of it being a different kind of trap.
Yeah, this is the thing. I don't think he thought it would
Maybe.
be this. I think Sam, when they first found John, he was suspicious already. When, Dean stood there, like, leveling the gun at John, and Sam walks back in. It's like, what's going on? Because, and Dean explains that he's different. I guess Dean spent a lot more time with John at this point than Sam has through all his life. And it's so messed. I just go back to it. It's so messed up that John not being mad at him was the reason that he knows that he's possessed by a demon. Because
I know that rubs me the wrong way so bad.
Okay, anyway, look, John Winchester, you didn't deserve your redemption arc. Just saying. I said it.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He didn't deserve it. And yeah, he didn't deserve it.
So, I mean, John says to, like, you got to trust me. And that's when Sam kind of decides it's not him. Like, and he goes and stands next to Dean. Though as soon as he walked in, I was like, he's going to believe Dean. So I don't think Sam trusts John as far as he can throw him.
No, and honestly, I don't think Sam likes John. Like, I don't think he likes him. Like, I don't think they would go to like even in the perfect universe and like they managed to do what they set out to do.
Mm-hmm.
Dean's wish of having them all together would never work because Sam wouldn't, like I said, doesn't like John. And I don't think, maybe if they spent a bit more time together, but like there's always going to be that resentment between the two of them, and I don't think they'll ever resolve it just because of who they are.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I completely think he doesn't like John as a person. Like, he maybe is he doesn't like him as a person. They're stood there, John saying, fine, you think you're so sure, kill me. And Dean hesitates and is like tearing up. See, I think if it'd been a couple more seconds, he may have done it. Like, I don't know. Do you think that at any point, like, Dean could have shot John?
No. Not with what happens, no.
I don't think, not even non-fatally, I don't think he could have done it.
No.
And then John looks down and says, I thought so. And when he looks back up, yellow eyes.
Da da da. But so his eyes are a different kind of yellow in this. Like, I wonder if they sort of finalize what his look was going to be, because in the previous episode, like, his eyes reminded me of frogs, whereas this one didn't.
Yeah. I want to talk about foreshadowing for a second here.
Do it.
Because I remember back way when I said in pilot, oh, isn't it funny how the shadow of the demon in Sam's room looks a lot like John? And then also, I know that you said, that in the last episode where the demon's in the fire and kind of looks like Dean, well, does it though, or does it look like John?
Yeah. I mean, it could well be like a little bit of both, but you're probably right. It's probably supposed to look more like John.
Yeah. And I think as well, when you see the demon in that episode again in the room, I think from either they used Jeffrey Dean Morgan or, because I think the silhouette was supposed to look like him. Mm-hmm. So I do feel like it was foreshadowing in the literal sense that the shadow was literally him.
I mean, there's no credit, at least not what I could find in my quick sleuth, of the demon in the fire. There's no credit of who that would have been.
Yeah, so, yes, yellow-eyed demon is here. Sam gets thrown into a wall, and so does Dean, and he drops the Colt. That's why you need a bungee cord, Dean.
Yep. And I don't know if you know this, but I don't like John Winchester.
What? I thought I did. Sorry.
But Jeffrey Dean Morgan is actually a really good actor, especially in this in this next scene. His switch to being like a demon version of John was really good.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
Credit when credit's due. Like, he was really good in this. Like, I was kind of iffy a little bit for a moment on Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but no, this scene convinced me that he's actually a very good actor. I mean, the like all of the other scenes have been so short that I couldn't really get a feel for him as an actor, and I couldn't really see past him being John Winchester.
I mean, before I'm sure it came out before. Before I'd watched this, I'd watched Grey's Anatomy, so I knew he was really good. It was weird to see him like this, but yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to refer to him now as Demon John, so we can switch back and forth. So Demon John picks up the Colt, and Sam even says, like, "It's you, isn't it?" Like, you know, the demon, capital the demon. And he does question, like, you know, that the holy water doesn't work. Like, I was like, good, you thought it too, Sam, because I was confused. And the explanation is that this demon is too powerful for holy water to work, which is interesting, because I'm sure we see holy water work on higher level demons later on.
This is also the first time that they refer to possessing a human as a meat suit as well.
Your dad, he's in here with me, trapped inside his own meat suit. He says hi, by the way. He's gonna tear you apart.
And it got me thinking, like, is there like a demon culture? Because they do refer to humans as meat suits. Well, that must mean that they talk to each other about humans.
Yeah. That's true.
So it's that's like true. I know with Crowley's Hell is there's you kind of do see that kind of demon culture a little bit, but at this point you just don't really know, so it's just a funny thought.
I don't know. I mean, I'll let it go. The holy water thing, they had to do it for the big reveal, so fine. Sam says, like, you know, I'm gonna kill you, and Demon John says, like, that would be a neat trick, and he puts the Colt in front of Sam.
In fact, here, make the gun float to you there, psychic boy.
So he obviously knows about Sam's powers, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't write down his whole speech about what's going on, because I just wrote posturing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just getting this over with, huh? Because I really can't stand the monologuing.
There are a few things. The meat suit line's pretty good. You know, that John's going to be the one to tear them apart. Dean starts to get more angry. Now, okay, interesting here. Because for a lot of this sort of posturing and monologuing, John's directing it towards Sam. And I think when Dean sees this, he starts getting angry and snarky to draw the attention away from Sam.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And so my theory of who the yellow-eyed demon is kind of comes from the line that Dean says, like, I swear to God.
He's going to taste the iron in your blood.
Let him go. Or I swear to God.
What? What are you and God going to do? You see, as far as I'm concerned, this is justice.
That line about what does God have to do with this makes me wonder if he's one of the original fallen angels.
Possibly. Right.
Which is also why the holy water wouldn't work.
Ooh. That's interesting.
The only reason why I don't think it, like, again, this is very the beginning before angels are even introduced to the series. So it's like, it could be forgiven, because we know that angels have to ask permission from their vessels in order to possess someone, whereas demons don't. And we know that Lucifer had to convince people to let him be their vessel, and you would have thought he would be the original demon, right?
Yeah.
So he should be able to take over anybody. So that's the only reason why I'm kind of hesitant to say that yes, he is a fallen angel.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I'm interested to know now, because I feel like they use holy water like less and less, maybe. So I want to see if it did work on some of their higher level demons. You know, the ones I'm talking about. If they ever actually used it, or whether they didn't even try sometimes. And now I'm like, there's a lot of episodes I can't remember all the holy water splashes.
No, I can't remember them either.
Yeah.
But he actually goes on to like, so this is my original thought. Like, I wanted to pause the episode before he continued talking. But so the justice line actually comes from the fact that he's talking about his kids, but he doesn't. He says that little exorcism you performed and the one you shot are his kids, but he doesn't give them a name.
No, he doesn't. I don't think they're ever given names because Meg's always Meg. Mm-hmm. It's like she took that on herself. And I mean, I don't know where we got Tom from, IMDb, but other than that, he must have been credited, I guess, as Tom. Maybe they were supposed to say it in a deleted scene. I mean, there are no deleted scenes that we haven't talked about on the DVD. So.
Mm-hmm. So recently, this is given away when we recorded this, but recently, Misha Collins, who goes on to play Cass in much later seasons, he was asked if Meg was actually Megara from the Greek mythos, which is also what I was thinking too, because like we know what happens, like a soul can be, oh god, okay, right, imagine Yellow Demon is actually Hades. I'm going off of the fact that like in the Hercules cartoon, Hades' eyes are yellow.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. I mean, fully like fanning now, like, you know.
Oh yeah. This is. So I mean, it would be interesting because it could very well be that the demon Meg sought out somebody who was also called Meg, because they can possess anybody.
I was thinking that as you were saying it, I was like, yes, I think that's probably true, because like you're right, they could choose anybody, and like what petty reason would you choose somebody? Like, oh, they have the same name as me, fine, I'll take this one. Yeah.
Because like you said, she refers to herself as Meg for the rest of, like, even in the next iteration of herself, she's always Meg. My headcanon is that she is Meg from the Greek mythos, of that she sold her soul for love and then was abandoned.
I like it. Because she's not given a backstory, I like it. Yes, that's it now. I've accepted your headcanon. So, I mean, yes, you're right. We find out that they're children. But you're right about demons having a culture, because he's referring to them as his children. So do demons have families? Like, it opens a whole can of worms anyway.
That never really gets explained.
Yeah, not really.
Because there's no other demon children. Like, all of the higher-ups never refer to their, like, subordinates as children.
Like, Dean looks surprised at this fact as well, that demons can have children.
You gotta be kidding me.
What? You're the only one that can have a family? You destroyed my children. How would you feel if I killed your family? Oh, that's right. I forgot I did.
Oh, this bit me hurt. So Sam says, like, you know, why did you do it? Why did you do it to this demon? You know, what? All the stuff, the fires, the babies, why? All that wrapped into one sentence. But he doesn't, he kind of answers it, but he doesn't really. He says that they were in the way of him getting to Sam, essentially, and the other children. And he says here, like, oh, you know, I never told you, but like he, meaning Sam, was going to propose to Jess and I was picking out rings and things. I don't know how I felt about that.
Yeah, like I'm wondering if it was put in there to like flesh out their relationship, because we've brought this up multiple times, that like, why does Sam care so much about Jessica?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this line was added to flesh her and Sam's relationship out a bit and maybe add a bit more emotional impact. But I didn't really feel it. Yeah, because again, like, I don't know her. This is when, again, like, Dean shifts it back to him, because he obviously that line would hurt Sam. So Dean's like, right, let's shift the attention back to me if he's going to hurt Sam. So he even says, like, can you, like, stop monologuing, which I love.
And then he rips into their characters.
Dean
horribly.
and John. No.
Funny. But that's all part of your MO, isn't it? Mask all that nasty pain. Mask the truth.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
You know, you fight and you fight for this family, but the truth is, they don't need you. Not like you need them. Sam, he's clearly John's favorite. Even when they fight, it's more concern than he's ever shown you.
And you know what's so freaking crazy about this bit? Like, nobody's ever like, Cassie kind of called him out on it.
Yeah.
But nobody so far has really just been like, this is who you are. You, the line he says, they don't need you, not like you need them. I was like, stab to the heart much.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we've been talking about this whole entire season. I don't know if it's good storytelling or obvious storytelling, or I don't know what's going on, but like, I was like, finally someone said it.
Yeah, finally someone said it. You know, he just called Dean out. He says that he's masking his pain with jokes. Yes, we said that first. Wait, no, we didn't. But you know what I mean. We said it.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about his family, like, not like you need them. Because even Dean said it earlier in the episode, like, if you guys go off and sacrifice yourself, I'll be the one that's left that has to, like, bury you. That line is just, like, he wouldn't... I can't imagine Dean functioning without a family, you know? Like, without someone to care for and care about, because he's not very good at looking after himself. He has to look after other people.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely see that.
And he even says, like, Leo, Sam is clearly John's favourite. You know, I think that's also probably true. I don't think John's very good at hiding it.
Yeah, no. And I think it's more his favorite because he's the younger one rather than his personality.
I think, yeah, this is it. Like, I think they clash because they're so similar. John and Sam are so similar that they can't help but fight against each other, because the things that frustrate them about each other are the things that frustrate them about themselves. And then you've got Dean, who's just trying to keep it all together. I wonder if he thinks at this point, because, like, this all ties together. So he was saying, like, you know, the things I would go to, the lengths I would go to for you guys, it scares me. And then I'm wondering if he's thinking, you know, internally, would they go to the same lengths for him? Does he think that Sam and John would sacrifice themselves for him? I definitely don't think that he thinks that John would. I don't think that he...
Yeah, no.
Like, no,
I don't think so.
And I think he's probably right.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think you're right with that. I think John will sacrifice himself to get what he wants, which in this case is to destroy the demon. But if it meant leaving Dean to die, which actually kind of happens. Yeah. So, yeah, no, he definitely...
Yeah. I mean, I think...
So sad.
I know. I think Dean maybe thinks that wrongly of Sam. I think there's part of him that thinks, you know, Sam would go after the demon rather than helping me. I think he's probably wrong there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that he doesn't think it. So, yeah. I mean, so Demon John starts really hurting Dean. I'm not sure exactly what injuries he's inflicting, but it looks like claw marks.
Yeah,
almost.
kind of. Like, it's like... I was gonna say it looks like a pitchfork in the shoulder or something, because it's like I even with the I can see the details in the dark on my screen. This time I couldn't see where he was bleeding from, but it just looked like 4 rivets of blood like coming down his chest.
Yeah, and like oh no,
what he says,
Dad, don't you let it kill me.
I wrote here, is he talking to Sam or John? I think he's talking to John, but I'm sure Sam is probably thinking it's for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's definitely trying to bring, like, because I think the hero worship is so strong that Dean thinks that John's too like badass to be possessed by a demon, so he could definitely fight against it if he really, really wanted to save Dean. You know, that's what he thinks. But yeah, you're right. I think Sam's taking it as for him as well. I mean,
because
yeah,
Sam really starts to struggle. Like, you can tell he's trying to like use his psychic powers at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's not successful in that, which is really interesting, I think.
Yeah, because in Nightmare it worked. Like,
yeah.
Well, I feel like for Nightmare it was a case of like mama bear strength.
Yeah.
Like, you know, apparently there's that whole thing of like a mum being able to pick up her car to save her baby thing, and so he was trying to push something. Yeah. I feel like it's easier to summon strength in that way than like magically pick up a gun and like, because that's like more like dexterity.
Yeah, I think you're right. So yeah, I mean, he's not being successful, and like Dean is really pleading with John to like, I just can't. Eventually, like Dean goes like limp, and it looks like the demons killed him, and John manages to resurface. He does manage to like overcome the possession and shouts, "Stop it!" which releases Sam from the demon's grip, which allows him to grab the colt. The demon takes back control and turns to Sam and says,
"You killed me. You killed Daddy."
I know.
And Sam says, "I know," and shoots him in the leg. Which, okay, this immediately made me think, like, if Sam had been the one to figure out that John was a demon, he definitely would have just shot him.
Yeah. Like I said, Sam doesn't like John, so it's easier to shoot someone you don't like.
I'm sorry, but Sam shooting John Winchester is a top 10 Sam moment. Like, yes, you did it.
You finally stood up to him.
Yeah.
He's probably wanted to do that since he was like 18.
I mean, I know it was a tragic moment, but on some levels, like, I'm thinking, Sam, it felt a little good, didn't it? Like, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Okay, so when they both fall to the floor, so like John and Dean fall to the floor, and Sam obviously goes to check Dean first because, obviously.
Dean, hey. Oh, God. He lost a lot of blood.
What was that?
He's right here. He's right here, Dean.
Go check on him.
Dean, go check on him.
Dean actually tells Sam to go check on John, and Sam like hesitates for a minute. Like, he doesn't do it immediately. He's like, he's actually wanting to check that Dean's okay. And I love this. Like, I think this is sort of, I'm hoping that this is like reassuring Dean a little bit that there is someone on his side. Like, in this episode, Sam has consistently been on his side, apart from when they bumped head about the cult.
Yeah.
But when it came to choosing between John and him, Sam always chose Dean.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
He really does like it. So he doesn't like John, but he really likes Dean. Like, he actually loves his big brother, which is really sweet.
Yeah. I think this episode, I think when you see it in season 2, I do feel like this carries through as well. I think there's a little bit more trust there sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
until John breaks it.
Oh.
Sorry to ruin that for you, but like, it came to me and I was like, I have to say it.
So John wakes up and is shouting like, "Sammy, it's still alive," and then like pleading with him to shoot him in the heart. And then you've got Dean on the other side of the room like, "Don't do it, please don't shoot him."
Son, I'm begging you. We can end this here and now. Sammy!
Sam, no.
You do this!
Sam is kind of looking down at John and he's making the decision, but he hesitates and the demon smokes out. I understand why he hesitated. It's still his dad, and he shot him in the leg. Like, he was actually being smart and was like, well, you know, this is going to hurt, but it's not going to kill him. Like,
yeah. Like, he didn't shoot him in the thigh either, which you can, like, get, like, a massive vein in there. He, like, shot him in the calf.
Exactly. I mean, I guess John was trying to trap the demon inside himself so he could then kill it, but it escaped. And John just looks...
I saw that as defeated.
Yeah. Yeah, defeated is a good word. So they all bundle into the Impala. Now. Ooh, now the music, Annabelle. This is iconic. I'm sorry for you. The song playing here as they're driving along is Bad Moon Rising by Creedence Clearwater Revival. It's a good song. So we've got Sam driving, John's in the passenger seat, Dean's in the back. And Sam's saying, like, hold on, hostel's only 10 minutes away. Because both John and Dean are beat up. I mean, Sam is as well, actually. His face is really swollen. John is mad, as Dean predicted he would be.
Yep, because now they've only have one bullet left. But I do like what Sam says here. He says, and the way that it's shot too.
I thought we saw eye to eye on this. Killing this demon comes first. Before me, before everything.
No, sir. Not before everything.
And it like shows Dean in the rearview mirror. So it's almost like, well, it's not almost. Sam finally understands where Dean's coming from.
Yes, completely. Because he's been through it now, right? He's kind of faced the loss. Like, he looking at John and making the decision not to shoot him was saying, actually, no, this isn't before everything else.
Exactly.
And then Sam's kind of talking about, we can start over. We still have one bullet left. Keeping the count. One bullet left, guys. We could do this. We could start over. And then a truck
comes out of nowhere.
And hits the Impala.
Foreshadowing that I mentioned for Sam being tackled. It's like this truck. It made me jump like pretty badly and kind of triggered me a little bit because this was basically how my car accident happened. It came out of nowhere. I was just driving and then I got hit. So like stuff like this, I don't know if you've ever seen No Country for Old Men.
I haven't, but go ahead.
So there's a scene at the very end of the movie that's very similar to this, and that made me jump, and like it didn't put me in a good place for a good while. This is slightly different. I don't know why it feels different, but maybe because it's further out from the accident that I had. But like I hate car accident scenes like this now. I can't watch them.
Yeah, I mean, well done for watching it. I kind of
because I knew it was coming, but like it was. I didn't remember it being so jarring.
Because it really is in the middle of a sentence. It does come out of nowhere. I remember being shocked when I first watched it. Obviously, not to the extent that you are. I knew it was coming this time, so I wasn't as surprised.
Because like there isn't any headlights or anything. It's literally like whack.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like there was an ad break, because we come back, we see the passenger, and he's got demon eyes, like regular demon eyes, not yellow eyes.
Yeah. And
it like zooms out from him and goes into the interior of the Impala, and like they're all like knocked out basically.
Yeah.
All bloodied and broken. And that was it. That's how it ends.
I mean, over that, Bad Moon Rising is still playing.
See, none of that happens. Like, there's no music. It's all from what I recall, it's actually silent.
See, I don't know if that would be more poignant, but it almost sounds like her Bad Moon Rising is kind of playing on the stereo,
Okay, yeah.
Like, that's how I've always thought of it.
Which it could be very true. Like,
it's a good end to a season, though, isn't it? It makes you want to know what's going to happen.
So one thing that Supernatural does do right is season finales.
Yeah, most of the time. I'll be honest, there are some that are dodgier than others, but generally, yes.
Generally speaking, they can do a very good cliffhanger.
Yeah. And
this is definitely one of them. I can't imagine having to then wait. Let's see. Because it was aired on May 4th. The next episode didn't come until the end of September.
Wow. I mean, they didn't used to call it the hiatus for nothing in
That's
the fandom.
true.
So, yeah. I liked this episode. Do you know what? Like, I felt it feels cool validating, this episode, because there's been all these little things that we've been talking about all through this season about how Sam is John and how Dean feels about his family, and there's a few little bits and bobs in there. And then it actually did all come together in the end. Like, oh yeah, we were right. Like, all the things that we were talking about came to fruition. And I don't know if that's just because we're doing a rewatch and we kind of know it. I don't feel like that's really true, because we are looking at this. I mean, when was the last time I watched season 1? I'm talking this like a while ago, so it feels almost fresh. I feel like this is good storytelling. Everything we thought about the characters came to light and was
right. There was no unexpected character traits, if you know what I mean. Like, there wasn't. I'm trying to think of another example where, like, it's the last couple of episodes and suddenly, oh, Dean actually has powers too, kind of thing. There was nothing like that. Everything was, the way that the story was being told was consistent and, like, building upon each episode. And like, I know we've said that, like, Dean has flip-flopped a little bit with his, like, being serious and then being, like, playful and flirty. But it still worked in terms of, like, how this episode sort of played out, like, you know, making the jokes in a serious situation and, like, being frantic but level-headed.
Yeah, it completely. This was very in all the way through this episode. They were all completely in character, if that makes sense, and it felt very true to them. And I feel like these character traits are the same ones we do see over and over again. And I think they were all building to their fully realized characters in these 2 episodes of this one and Salvation. So there were, I think at the beginning, there are some bits, like we were talking about them, like, not being very indistinguishable from each other at times, or maybe, like, sometimes switching personality. And I feel like that was all kind of like them figuring it out as they started hunting again, like, who they were. And then I feel like by Salvation, they know who they are. And we were kind of, like, are able to watch them do that. It feels good. Like, I like it.
It does.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, so I know I started off with this episode saying, like, why are we here? And, like, coming to the end of it, I'm like, you know what? I'm actually happy we're here.
Yeah. They're such compelling characters. I think it's because they're so deep sometimes. Like, there's layers there. Whereas sometimes I do feel now you don't get as many layers with TV characters. Like, sometimes I watch shows and I'm like, oh, I know exactly where this is, I know exactly where this is going. Like, but I don't know if that just comes from years of watching shows like this with the foreshadowing and the character development. That
maybe
now when
a little
we're watching 6 episodes or something, you're like, oh, I can already see where this is going to go.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I started to watch a recent TV show and, like, I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I was. I'm a little bit annoyed that it's only 8 episodes, so I have to wait another year for it to come out for the next one. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. But yeah, so that was the last episode of season 1. Can you believe it?
I can. I can. I'm a little bit sad. I'm a little bit sad to leave season 1 behind. I love it.
Me too. Me too. The beginning of an era.
Yeah. So our next podcast episode will be a season 1 wrap up. So please join us for that. We're going to discuss all things season 1. I don't want to tell you too much. It'll be a surprise. You have to listen.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us in our first leg of Purgatory. We've seen many things while we've been down here. Still trapped, but hopefully next week we can see what our mistakes were and learn from them. All right. I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.